I was the wife, not the girlfriend, not the side chick. I trusted my husband, and I trusted the woman he said was just his best friend. They laughed together. They talked late at night, and every time I asked questions, I was told I was overthinking. But there was one moment, one detail, that made me realize I had already lost. Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. How does a woman become invisible in her own marriage? Why did everyone protect the wrong relationship? And what finally forced the truth into the open? By the end of this story, one person will lose everything. And it won't be who you expect. Emma was raised to believe silence was strength. Her mother told her that good wives don't make scenes. Her church told her that patience conquers all. Her friends told her that marriage was the finish line, not the starting point. So Emma learned to swallow her words. She learned to smile through discomfort. She learned that keeping the peace was more important than speaking her truth. Growing up, Emma watched her mother endure her father's late nights, endure his dismissive tone, endure being second to his career, his friends, his hobbies. And her mother called it love, called it commitment, called it what women do. So when Emma met Ryan, she brought all of that with her. Every lesson about patience, every warning about not being too demanding, every belief that marriage required sacrifice, especially from women. She didn't know silence doesn't protect marriages, it protects liars. Then Sophie entered the picture. Or maybe she was always there. Sophie wasn't hiding. She was everywhere. At birthday dinners, on weekend trips, in group texts that Emma wasn't part of. Sophie had a key to their house. Sophie knew Ryan's coffee order, his work schedule, his childhood stories. Things Emma had to ask about. Things Sophie just knew. The first time Emma met Sophie was at a barbecue 3 months into her relationship with Ryan. Sophie showed up in a sundress that matched Ryan's shirt. Emma thought it was coincidence. Everyone laughed about it. Sophie hugged Ryan longer than Emma thought was normal, but Emma pushed the feeling down. She was being insecure. She was being jealous. She was being everything women are taught not to be. Ryan explained that Sophie was his oldest friend, that they'd known each other since college, that she was like a sister. Emma wanted to believe him. She needed to believe him, because the alternative was too painful to consider. But over the months, Sophie's presence grew. She was at their engagement party. She helped pick out wedding venues. She had opinions about the flowers, the music, the guest list. And Ryan always sided with Sophie. Affairs usually hide in shadows. This one sat at the dinner table. Then Valentine's Day exposed what Emma had been avoiding. The jewelry box sat on the counter when Emma came home. Inside was a delicate bracelet, the kind Emma had pointed out months ago, but Ryan said was too expensive. Next to it, an iPhone, the latest model. Then flowers, roses, 2 dozen. The card was still attached. To the only woman who understands me. Emma stood there, groceries still in her hands, staring at gifts that weren't for her. She heard Ryan's voice from upstairs. He was on the phone, laughing. She knew that laugh. It was the one he used to use with her. She walked upstairs slowly. The bedroom door was cracked open. Ryan was lying on their bed, phone pressed to his ear, smiling at the ceiling. I know, he said. I can't wait to see your face when you open them. Emma backed away before he saw her. She went back downstairs. She put the groceries away. She made dinner. When Ryan came down an hour later, he kissed her, forehead, and handed her a small box. Inside was a generic necklace, the kind you buy at the mall when you've forgotten an occasion. Emma's gift that year was a blender. There was no card, no explanation, just silence. That night, Emma couldn't sleep. She lay next to Ryan and wondered when she'd become so small. When had her needs become unreasonable? When had asking for attention become nagging? When had she agreed to disappear? This wasn't cheating. This was replacement. If you're still watching, comment, "I'm still here," and tell us your city or state. Emma thought she'd reached the lowest point. She was wrong. Emma had planned their anniversary for weeks. She made Ryan's favorite meal from scratch. Braised short ribs that took 6 hours. Roasted vegetables from the farmer's market. A chocolate cake she'd practiced 3 times to get right. She set the table with candles. She wore the dress he'd once said he loved, back when he still noticed what she wore. She wanted to believe that one perfect night could remind him of what they'd built together. The door opened at 7:30. Ryan walked in. Sophie was right behind him. Emma felt her stomach drop. She stood in the kitchen doorway, apron still on, and watched them walk in like it was the most natural thing in the world. Ryan didn't apologize. He didn't explain. He just said, Sophie had a rough day and needed company. Sophie smiled at Emma, a small, sympathetic smile, the kind you give someone when you pity them. Emma stood there, her hands still wet from washing vegetables, and watched Sophie sit in the chair Emma had set for her husband. Ryan didn't even hesitate. He sat next to Sophie. They started talking about a work situation Emma knew nothing about. They laughed about an inside joke Emma wasn't part of. They scrolled through photos on Sophie's phone, leaning close, their shoulders touching. Emma served the dinner she'd spent all day making. Neither of them complimented it. Ryan asked for hot sauce. Sophie said she wasn't that hungry. At one point, Sophie made a comment about the shower pressure in their guest bathroom. Emma's fork stopped halfway to her mouth. Sophie had showered there, multiple times. Emma had never asked why Sophie needed to shower at their house. She'd never asked why Sophie had a toothbrush in their guest bathroom. She'd never asked because she was afraid of the answer. Then Ryan said it, the line that Emma would replay in her mind for months. Sophie's cooking is better anyway. Sophie laughed. Ryan laughed. Emma sat there, silent, while her anniversary dinner went cold. That was the night Emma realized she wasn't the wife. She was the guest. The shift happened slowly at first, then all at once. Emma stopped trying to join their conversations. She stopped cooking elaborate meals. She stopped pretending everything was fine. Instead, she started watching. She started listening. She started documenting. She noticed how Ryan's face lit up when Sophie texted. She noticed how he always had time for Sophie's emergencies, but not Emma's. She noticed how he defended Sophie when Emma's friends questioned her presence. She noticed how their life had been reorganized around Sophie's schedule, Sophie's preferences, Sophie's needs. Emma started going through the credit card statements. She told herself she was just checking their budget. But really, she was looking for proof. And she found it. Dinners for 2 at restaurants Emma had never been to. Concert tickets to shows Emma didn't know he'd attended. Weekend hotel stays when Ryan said he was traveling for work, but the charges were local, an hour away, close enough to come home. He just chose not to. She found the texts, not sexual, worse, intimate, planning, dreaming, building a future that didn't include Emma. We should go to that place you mentioned. I can't stop thinking about our conversation last night. You're the only one who really gets me. She found the insurance paperwork in his desk drawer. Ryan had changed his beneficiary 6 months ago. Not to Emma, to Sophie. Emma sat on the floor of his office, papers spread around her, and something inside her finally broke open. Not sadness, clarity. Ryan hadn't cheated physically. He'd done something worse. He'd given his life to someone else. Emma made a decision. It was quiet. It was calculated. It was irreversible. She started making calls. To a lawyer her coworker had recommended. To her bank. To her parents. She moved slowly, carefully, telling no one what she was planning. Not her friends, not Ryan's family, not even her sister. She opened a separate bank account. She started redirecting her paycheck. She photographed documents. She saved text messages. She recorded dates and times. She built a case so airtight that Ryan wouldn't be able to lie his way out. Ryan thought he was in control. That illusion was about to shatter. Emma filed for divorce on a Tuesday morning. She'd chosen Tuesday specifically because Ryan had a standing coffee date with Sophie every Tuesday. He'd be distracted. He wouldn't see it coming. Ryan didn't see it coming. Neither did Sophie. The paperwork was airtight. Emma had spent months consulting with a lawyer Ryan didn't know she'd hired. She'd moved money Ryan didn't know she'd been saving. She'd gathered evidence Ryan didn't know existed. When Ryan came home that evening, Emma was sitting at the kitchen table. The divorce papers were in front of her. His face went white. He asked what this was. Emma didn't yell. She didn't cry. She just slid the papers across the table and said, "It's over." Ryan tried to argue. He said she was overreacting. He said Sophie was just a friend. He said Emma was being paranoid, jealous, unreasonable. He used every word designed to make her doubt herself. But Emma didn't doubt anymore. The house went to Emma. The savings were split. But Emma had protected her assets. She'd moved her inheritance into a separate account months before. She'd kept receipts showing she'd paid for most of the renovations. She'd documented everything. Ryan's family, who had always loved Emma, turned cold when they learned the truth. His mother called Sophie a homewrecker. His sister stopped returning Sophie's calls. Even Ryan's friends started distancing themselves. Sophie left. Not immediately, but eventually. Because Ryan, when stripped of his dual life, was just a man who'd destroyed his marriage for someone who thought she wanted him, until she actually had him. Turns out Sophie liked being the special one, the chosen one, the one he ran to. But being the only one, that was different. That came with expectations, with accountability, with the mundane reality of actually building a life instead of playing house in the margins of someone else's. Within 6 months, Sophie moved to another state. Emma heard through mutual friends that Sophie said Ryan was too intense and needed too much. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Ryan called Emma 3 months after the divorce was finalized. He wanted to talk. He wanted to explain. He wanted her to understand that he never meant to hurt her. Emma listened for 2 minutes, then hung up. She didn't block his number. She just never answered again. There was nothing left to say. Ryan had shown her exactly who he was. For years. She just finally decided to believe him. This wasn't revenge. It was reclaiming dignity. Emma learned something in the aftermath. Betrayal doesn't always announce itself. It doesn't always hide in motel rooms or secret phone calls. Sometimes it sits across from you at dinner. Sometimes it laughs at your jokes. Sometimes it's welcomed into your home by the very person who promised to protect it. The cruelest part wasn't that Ryan chose Sophie. It was that he made Emma feel crazy for noticing. He made her doubt her instincts. He made her apologize for feeling neglected. He convinced her that expecting loyalty was asking too much. Was silence ever love or just fear? Emma rebuilt her life piece by piece. She got a better job. She reconnected with friends she'd lost touch with. She traveled to places Ryan had never wanted to go. She learned that being alone wasn't the same as being lonely. And she learned that the voice she'd silenced for so long was the one she needed most. Some betrayals don't happen in secret. They happen in plain sight, when no one dares to speak. When being polite becomes more important than being honest. When keeping the peace means losing yourself. At what moment would you have walked away? Is emotional loyalty more important than physical fidelity? These aren't easy questions. but they're the ones worth asking. And if you think this story was unsettling, wait until you hear what happened when another woman discovered her husband had been married twice at the same time. That story will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about trust. If this story resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss our next video. Share this with someone who needs to hear it.